understand why Ted Lasso may be good homework for you if you're not a fan and watcher. So
that's right.
Unfortunately, this podcast is not sponsored by Apple. That would be great, but
I was going to play the theme song because I love that theme song. I have it on my
and then we get a copyright infringement.
Yeah. So I forgot what the length of time you can play that before you get cut.
I think it's 8 seconds.
Yeah,
or less. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we could play like StreamYard has Feeding the Ducks, little Miami Vice feel to it going on. But nah. All right. Well, I'll let you read the bio so that our guest is not waiting in the green room too much longer.
All right. We have so our guest today is the author of a book called it's all about Ted Lasso. So the title for this show was the Persuasion. What is it? The Persuasive Power of Ted Lasso.
Yeah. So we have an author. What would Ted Lasso do?
The book is What Would Ted Lasso Do? So if you're a fan of the show, I think you'll like this episode. I'm a huge fan. I love the show. I think there's another season coming out soon.
That's what the people are saying.
That's what we hear. So
that's what Jason's people are saying.
So we have the author of the book joining us, Lucy Broadbent. She is a journalist and an author of the book that we're going to be discussing. She's a contributor to the Los Angeles Times, the London Times, the Sunday Times, Cosmopolitan, Glamour, and several other publications. So you can find her. We're going to be featuring her website over at Lucy Broadbent. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But she's got quite the story to share. And I'm fascinated with the book because there's a couple of lessons that I find interesting on this. And yeah, there it is right there. I looked at her book on Amazon. So I do this whenever we get guests who have the authors of books who have books that they want to talk about. I go look at their book first, and just to see how many reviews and how many people have checked it out, bought it, reviewed it. She has 446 reviews. Is that right? Am I seeing that right?
4.6 out of 5.
4.6 out of 5. Yes.
That's a pretty nice amount right there. So
yeah. So
we're going to ask about that too, right? That was one of your questions.
Yeah. There's some publishing lessons. I don't know if this was self-published or not, but I'm sure there's a lot of lessons to any authors out there who want to put their book out and get a ton of or know how to market that. I mean, obviously she did a phenomenal job. It was a bestseller on Amazon. So
we can ask her.
Yeah. Let's bring her up.
All right.
Lucy, welcome to the show.
What an audience. Wow.
Yes. They work cheap. They work for beer.
That's right. Beer and peanuts.
Well, welcome to the show, Lucy. You're over in UK. Like what parts? Not that any of us Americans know where the parts are, but
we know London.
Well, if you watch Ted Lasso, you know where he comes. Where he goes. He goes to Richmond,
right,
at one end of London, and I'm at the other end of London, but still on the Thames. Because do you remember he's on the Thames? You see that. I've actually I live actually in Los Angeles, but I've just returned here because you can hear I'm British.
No.
And I drink an awful lot of water, disgusting brown water, and not beer but tea, so here I am in London, which I'm sure.
Yeah, very cool. So we're glad to have you. It's what, 8 o'clock there? Is that right? In the evening?
That's right. Yep.
Very good. All right.
Dinner time.
Well, tell us why people might want to stick around and listen to what you have to say about Ted Lasso or anything else you might want to talk about.
So I think you can learn a whole load of lessons from the show. So I wrote a book called How Ted's Positive Approach Can Help You. And within the show is a whole load of psychology. And that's really what the book is about. It's using Ted Lasso as a life coach.
Very cool. All right.
I wish you were my coach.
Yeah, no, seriously, right?
He's a good soccer coach. He'd probably be a good life coach.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, I think you said you had a beverage on the show today, Lucy.
Oh, well, yeah, I brought one along because I thought perhaps you. But you see, I don't know anything about beer, but it looks so.
It's all right. You know how to drink it, don't you?
It's called Shore Leave Amber Ale Brewdog. Have you heard of such a thing?
I've heard of Brewdog.
Yeah, I've heard of Brewdog, and you said it's an ale, so that's all we need to know. So yeah, are you gonna have one with us?
No, I just brought it along just to keep it company.
Oh, so you're just gonna show it and then drink your tea, right?
I'll stick to tea.
Okay, that's fair enough. We've had people do water, tea, whatever. No
you
big
drink
deal.
At night? Do you drink decaf tea or you drink caffeine?
It has to stop at tea time, which of course in England is 4:00.
Sure.
So in fact, just got water.
Oh, you've got okay. All right. No tea at night.
No tea after 4.
No.
After the 4:00 tea, I guess, right? So
it keeps you up at night.
Yes.
Yeah. For some.
For some.
Yeah, for some that caffeine's like put you right to sleep if you're ADHD or one of those things. So, all right. Well, Jonathan, what are you having on your end?
All right, I'm going to add it. Let's see.
Oh, that's mine.
Not this. Not that one. This one. Oops. So I have something called Bib and Tucker. Have you ever heard of this, Sean? It is a coffee infused.
Yeah, I think I've had that.
Have you?
Coffee infused whiskey?
Yes. I can never get it to come up. There it goes. Golden roast bourbon. So I'm excited. I've never had anything like this. I kind of stick to my top 4 in terms of bourbons.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that one, but I have had a coffee infused. Okay. And there's 2 different kinds. There's one that's got coffee, and then there's one that's more coffee syrup, so it's a little stronger. Yeah. So I'm not sure which is which.
This is a small batch bourbon whiskey infused with coffee beans. Let's see. At the turn of the century, fresh roasted coffee warmed early mornings while smooth bourbon brought people together. There's nothing better than bourbon and coffee when they come together. It is, let's see, what is it? Oh, it's 92 proof, so it's not too heavy. Because sometimes I'll have a little 100 proof, but we'll see how that.
Seems like a good midday transition, right? You have coffee in the morning, maybe some bourbon at night. Yeah. So this is a good.
That's right.
This is a good mid-afternoon, tea time kind of thing, right?
That's right. This would be a
4 o'clock
whiskey time.
We should start a brand, 4 o'clock whiskey.
It's whiskey time, and also they partnered with a local Tennessee roaster. So cool. Custom blend of premium Arabic beans, which are steeped in our cask strength of 6 years, or a 6-year whiskey, before being expertly blended into the final batch.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Excited to hear about that and how that turns out for you. Yeah. I am having a Belgian white ale called White Rascal. Funny looking little character on the can there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is a funny character.
So he's it's just a Belgian white ale. So I imagine it's going to be similar to Blue Moon. Looks like Blue Moon.
Oh yeah, it's a hazy.
So, yeah, it's a little bit hazy white ale, but it
put you a little orange in that. That might be.
I know. I thought about that afterwards. It's like crap. I should have got an orange. But all right. Well, let's cheers it up to a good show to Ted.
Yes.
Does Ted have a toast? Yeah. We'll just say to Ted.
He said barbecue sauce. Ted.
Yeah.
I think that is what he says.
Yeah. There you go.
Barbecue sauce.
All right. So Lucy, we usually give a score, 1 to 5 pints, 5 being the best. You can use decimal points. What do you give your London water on a scale of 1 to 5 pints?
Oh, it's dreadful.
It's dreadful.
Yeah.
Is that bottled or is that straight from the tap?
Straight from the tap. They have lime scale in it. So it leaves
hard water.
I'm sure I'll keel over any minute.
Wow. Yeah. Is that why people are? Is that why they're kind of grumpy and sad over there? Is that the?
Are they sad?
It's the
I
water.
don't know.
It's
What
the
do they
water.
say? Like kind of straight laced or like too like, I know there's a lot of funny people there too, though. I mean, we've got great comedy comes from London.
Let me. It's a nation of eccentrics.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
Perhaps
all
that's
right.
to do with water.
So dreadful. See, that's a great English word, dreadful. Like we don't use that word enough here in the US. Just dreadful.
I know. Rubbish and dreadful. I love rubbish.
Yeah, our
Trying to use that one.
vocabulary is we have a weak vocabulary game here in the US.
We do.
So
anyway, it's different. It's just different. And and when you're speaking about Ted Lasso, it's that was half of the comedy. That was why I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Having lived in America for 30 years and being British, all those jokes about the difference in the language, the misunderstandings between them, he nailed it. He really nailed it.
Oh yeah.
That you have a rich and luxurious language. It's just slightly different, which makes it.
Because he's from Missouri, right? It's supposed to be from Missouri.
Kansas.
Missouri.
No, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas. That's right, Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah,
that's right.
Which I mean, kind of right next to each other there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they borrow each other's names, right? Kansas City, Missouri. Like, I mean, it's like
trying to fight over.
All right, so Jonathan, I'm curious. What do you give your coffee infused whiskey?
I'm giving it a. I don't taste any coffee. I don't even taste the slightest hint of coffee beans. So I'm going to give this a. It's still pretty good. I'm going to give it a 4-1. Almost gave it a 3-9.
That's pretty generous considering it lied to you. That's pretty generous. But yeah, I'll have to send you the one that's not the one I had. I'll have to find the one I had. But anyway.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to give mine I'm going to give it a solid 4. Like it's exactly what I would expect from a Belgian white ale. Tastes very much like a Blue Moon, but it's good. I love
a Blue Moon. So if it tastes like that, it's doing.
Yeah, it's a solid, exactly what I would expect. Nothing over the top. So I give it a solid 4.
Awesome. Lucy, do you have an occasional sip of wine from time to time, or is it just like mostly?
I'm a big wine drinker. I'm afraid I'm not a beer drinker, but I do like.
What type of wines do you gravitate to?
French.
Oh, okay.
French, Italian, but California has lovely wines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a red, white, rosé?
There's I think if you speak to anybody who likes beer, such as yourselves, or whiskey, you're open to try anything, aren't you?
Right. Yes.
Same with wine,
except IPA.
Oh, really?
We draw a line there. We hate IPAs.
We hate IPAs around here, so
too bitter.
Which is tough because I live in an IPA town, so it's tough. But you usually can find something else. So,
well, it keeps life interesting, doesn't it?
Yes.
Animal.
Well, Lucy, I am curious. We heard a little bit about your background. You've been a writer for a long time, and I was going through some of your blogs, and this is a pretty good departure from some of the types of stuff you've written in the past. So tell us the story that kind of got you in this direction. Like I saw you've had some pretty serious articles, a few that I saw around women's health or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. I didn't take good notes. Some pretty serious stuff. And then now you're doing this whole series around Ted Lasso, which is really fun. Is this a departure for you? And if so, like, how did it happen? Go ahead and give us that little backstory.
I was, as a journalist, I think you do everything. So some of it is serious. The thing that I did a lot of that I absolutely adore is reportage, which is all about people. The common thread is people, because I think people are interesting. And the great thing about being a journalist is that you can be very, very nosy, ask highly intrusive and offensive questions, and somehow get away with it. And so to answer your question, I came to Ted Lasso because I saw an idea in it. So one of the things that I used to always do is, because I am very, very old, it would seem, is that when I worked on newspapers, in the days when everyone watched the same TV shows, you'd have those water cooler conversations where people say, "Did you watch that episode last night?" And there'd be this conversation about what went on in that episode. And then as a journalist, what we used to do, hot TV shows that people were all talking about, we'd try and find a feature angle to it. Why was the show so successful? What made it a water cooler conversation? And then I'm freelance, and I was thinking, what would the water cooler conversation be about Ted Lasso, which I watched like everybody else during the pandemic and just sort of fell in love with it. But I could see in there the psychology behind it. And I thought, that is so interesting. That's so worth exploring. And if I was back on a newspaper, I would turn that into a feature. And then, as I put on my website, so we're in the pandemic. Everybody's edgy. We're all a bit upset about, or we don't know what we're upset about, but we're all upset. And then someone prangs the side of my car. I was actually sitting in it. It wasn't actually, it was stationary. And I, I'd been watching Ted, and instead of like cursing and screaming this other person, it was really, really nice. And I just thought, okay, wow, a TV show had got to me. And how did that happen? If a TV show could change my behavior, what was behind it? It's like, so I sort of, the thing about journalism is also that you end up being, you do a lot of research, and a lot of what they call positive psychology comes out of Ted Lasso. And then I thought, okay, that's a book. I can write a book on this. And so I did. And the more you look at something, the more you can find messages within it. It was like a whole hidden trail of little positive steps. I don't want to get too boring, but the most obvious one is, okay, so there was a book written by a psychologist called Dr. Frankl, Viktor Frankl.
Yep.
And he wrote
Man's Search for Meaning.
But exactly. So he was in a concentration camp during the Second World War, and he was already working on this theory. But suddenly he found himself in a position to see it played out. His theory was that if you can maintain a sense of hope and you can choose your own reaction to a difficult situation, you have a greater chance of survival. And he sort of saw it being played out over and over in this environment around him. And his whole thing is, you can choose your reaction. And then I saw that in Ted Lasso finds himself in adverse situations. He has whole stadiums of people calling him a wanker, which in Britain is a very, very rude term. He has a hostile boss. He has all these things going against him. But he remains fantastically optimistic, upbeat. He chooses his reaction and therefore survives and prospers, flourishes. And so that is Viktor Frankl's theory played out. And Jason Sudeikis has actually spoken about it somewhere. I've got a little quote. He said,
go ahead.
Shall I read his little quote? I have to find it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, while you're looking for it, that reminded me of the Believe banner, that Ted Lasso put up. Think about having hope. I mean, that's belief, right? I mean, that's what believe means.
Yeah. There's so many things. So here the quote was, this is from Jason Sudeikis. One of the themes is that evil exists. Bullies, toxic masculinity, malignant narcissists, and we can't destroy them. It's about how you deal with those things. That's where the positivity and some of the lessons come in. It's about what we have control over. So that was just one of these little trail of so the belief side, of course, is the obvious one. it's all about belief in yourself, and there's so much science behind all this stuff that once you start looking through it, you go, whoa. There's a lot of science behind Ted as this really curious person, and there's tons of science about how being curious and having a connection with others brings about mental health benefits. It brings about there's a million ways in which we flourish with that that curiosity can bring. Generosity is another thing that will bring huge benefits to you as an individual if you practice it. And the genius of Ted Lasso is, because that science is not new, the genius of it is that he shows us how it works. We see it played out over 3 seasons. All of that sort of wholesomeness, which you can take to be a bit, hokey, and it works level. It's goofball comedy, but also you can see how it benefits him, and you can apply that to yourself. And so that was the premise for the book, basically.
I think one of the most shared clips, I think on social media, is the one you're talking about, where he talks about being curious, where he's shooting darts, in the pub, and he talks about how people have doubted him, his whole life, and he said, he learned to be curious, and so, and he said, you might have asked questions like, "Have you ever played darts before?"
Yeah, that's a great
line. Yeah, I love that clip.
Yeah, we were all rooting for him, and what a genius way to take down a cat. And there he is, he's playing the knight in shining armor because he's rescuing Rebecca. Some deal struck about whether he won or whether he won the game or not, and of course he does. And it's magnificent. It's really brilliant. And behind there is this lovely soliloquy that he gives about being curious, not judgmental. And what a marvelous lesson. It's just lovely.
Yeah, it's really well done. The writers do a great, and as a writer, I'm sure you can really appreciate just the craft of just how they write the scripts and everything else as well. Yeah. Have you looked into the writers at all? I mean, you've dug deep into this. Were you able to talk to any of the writers? Have you researched any of those, or?
I haven't, but I have.
There's a sequel for you right there. There's a second book.
Well, I think the sequel is going to be on the women's story, because the next season is that's coming up, because he wrapped it all up and he said there were going to be no more seasons. And then suddenly, I mean, it's such a behemoth, this show. Broken so many records. I think he got 61 Emmy nominations.
Wow.
And it's just sort of broken records. So of course there was going to be another one. But the next one is going to be out about women's football. And so I think, and Ted Lasso is, it is a very feminist show. The 3 seasons were always very female. What's the word? They were actually oddly female driven because of with the characters. But I think it's going to go into overdrive in the next season.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, do you have any merch going with this book? Because I was thinking about, you said the title is "What Would Ted Lasso Do?" And there was the famous like WWJD bracelets 20 years ago with "What Would Jesus Do?" So I think you need your own line of bracelets that say what would what would that be? WWTLD. It's not as catchy as WWJD, but what would Ted do? We can abbreviate that. What would Ted do? WWTD. There you go.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I just couldn't think of anything worse.
So I'm curious. You published this book in 2022 or 2023?
2022.
Okay, so that was kind of at the height of the show. I think it was like, I'm just curious from a publishing standpoint, if that was part of. I mean, because your book obviously is a huge bestseller on Amazon. You've got over 400 reviews on it. Do you think that had something to do with it? You're kind of catching up, the conversation people were having at that time, and
yeah. So the story about and that, having had this idea, I sort of wrote a synopsis and I wrote some chapters, and I pitched it to there's a number of publishers. I didn't have time because we were waiting for the third season. That's when it came out, between the second and the third season. And I pitched it directly to a couple of publishers, which isn't what authors usually do, but they're a bit like, and they came back to me within a couple of days. And I'd so I had a conversation with one, and he specialized in these kinds of TV. It's because it's a mixture of sort of TV, pop culture, psychology. It was a publisher who'd done psychology of Harry Potter. So anyway, he came back to me almost instantly. So I knew it was a good idea. And so I'm mentally spending the advance before I've even finished the conversation. It was a sure deal. It was a sure deal. But during the conversation, I could hear him thinking it, gaming it out. He said, the problem is I don't know when season 3 is going to come out. And he said, and we were sort of at the tail end of COVID still. And he said, you wouldn't believe this. He said, but I actually have trouble getting paper at the moment. So it's funny to look back on that time, because were, and he said, it's such a risk for me to publish it, because if the season 3 comes out and it, who knows what's going to happen, I can't get it out in time. And then he said to me at the end of the conversation, the thing is, you could self-publish it tomorrow. You could really do it quickly, and that's your advantage. And so I thought about that. And I'd never done anything like that. I've written novels before, which have been published. And the great thing about having a book publisher behind you is it gives you a kind of validation that you're not just floundering around on your own. To do it by myself was like, whoa. But and so then I do tell a story, which is, I did take Ted Lasso to heart. I did have. I'm not in my office here, but Ted Lasso Believe posters all around the room. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give this a go. I read a book on how to self-publish, but also how to market a self-published book, because you were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And that is a really key part. You get lots and lots of people self-publish on Amazon. You can stick anything up on a and there's tons of AI books up there now. But unless you're prepared to market it, unless you do that, you're on a highway to nowhere. It just slips further and further and further down the Amazon algorithm. Anyway, so I set off. Everything went wrong. Of course it did. I paid an editor to edit it for me. He ran off with my money.
Oh wow!
One of the things is you give yourself a launch date and you do pre-sales on Amazon. And I could see I was getting pre-sales, and the book wasn't ready. And if you don't meet that deadline that you've given to Amazon, Amazon won't have you on there for well over a year. Your name is dirt.
Oh, wow. You get blacklisted.
Yeah. So I'm picking up sales and the book isn't finished. So you can imagine it was all fairly stressful. Anyway, I got it out. And then I did do a lot of podcasts, media, all that sort. But in a sense, it was relatively easy because I was really riding on the coattails of Ted Lasso. I don't think I wrote anything particularly brilliant. The thing that was brilliant was Ted Lasso, and people are interested in it.
Well, that's where I was getting at, is that I think that people were searching. During that time, that was just and it's still a popular show, but I think it was at its peak that, back in 2021, 2022, especially coming out of COVID, people were streaming everything, so they were kind of binge watching shows. And, I think that probably, you just hit like right timing for you to push this out and publish it. So,
I mean, that's a marketing lesson in itself. Like you said, Lucy, is if you can tie something to a hot current event or trend or anything like that, that's just as an editorial journalist. I mean, you probably do that all the time, and that's just part of what you do, right? You're looking for trending topics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ted Lasso did the heavy lifting for me. And now, of course, the thing is that there's, I mean, I've watched it grow because there's several sort of Ted Lasso books.
Sure.
And all the merchandise, and it's a full field at this stage.
How long did it take you to write this book?
Not very long. I mean, it's not a very long book. I don't know, less than 6 months, I think. But I think it might have even been about 3.
And then you hired somebody to edit, clean it up.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, because you have to. I've never laid out. There's a lot to. You have to. You lay out what you lay out on the page has to look nice. Cover design. It was. I learned a lot. I learned a huge amount.
Because you got to find all these people to do, like you said, cover design and then layout work. Because you don't have a publisher. You're doing everything yourself. But I actually think you made the wise decision though, doing it on your own.
Yes, well,
in this case, because timing was everything.
Yes, exactly. I would have missed the wave. I mean, I will be a second wave with the next season. I'm just sort of gearing myself up again, really, because this new season, people are going to be talking about that.
Yeah, you got to chicken soup this thing, right?
Chicken soup. You should do one book for every character. I see on your blog you've got like one about Rebecca and Keely. What we can learn from this dynamic duo. Like that's one of your articles on here. So you've kind of broken down into some of the characters too. It sounds like, right? It's not just Ted Lasso itself; it's the whole show.
Yeah.
Is that what your book talks about, or is it?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a very a lot that's ended up on the blog has been published in other places, but my speciality really, I suppose, is women's magazines, and so the women's angle is a hot topic. And the thing is that there's a really good story there too, because Hannah Waddingham and I'm blanking on Keely's name, Juno Temple. They met. They're going along to the casting session. It's the first meeting of all the cast, and they met as women do in the ladies' bathrooms. And they were expecting. They both said that they were expecting their characters to be pitted against each other, because that's very typical. That's very typical Hollywood. You have two females in a cast of whatever else, but you've got two lead characters who are women, and very typically you put them against each other. And Ted Lasso did exactly the opposite, and they two became really good friends, and they became very good friends in real life. And they've both spoken about how, when they saw that script and what they were trying to do, what a marvelous step that was in a sort of feminist world, because it was just doing something different. And again, I've argued many times that Ted Lasso tries to bring out the best in everybody, and he was just another example. I mean, he really does. I sound like a sort of. I've written pieces about this too. I sound like a sort of devotee on a cult sometimes.
Yeah. Let's start a Ted Lasso cult. That'd actually probably do pretty well.
Yeah.
I feel I'm a sort of like I'm on the altar of Ted Lasso, but there is something to be said for that desire to bring out the best in ourselves. I think we all want to do that in ourselves.
Yeah.
And he is like a self-help guru showing us the way. I mean, that was, I've written about that because I do think that's true.
Yeah.
Look for those kind of leaders, and the timing of Ted Lasso was not just because there was a pandemic on and because we were all pinned to our sofas. You know, the political conversation at the time was really ugly. And, you know, here we are again. You know, the climate is not happy. I'm not talking about the physical climate, just the temperature of the world. We've got a conflict going on in millions of places. You know, whichever side of the aisle you sit, there's the discourse is not pretty at the moment. And I think that we would all like to be our better selves. And I think somehow that having someone, a TV show as simple and goofy as it is, showing us how to be our better selves, that's worthwhile. I think it's priceless, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, I think there's a show like that. I think there's always a show like that going on, and they're a little more scattered. We've talked about this before, how these shows are a lot more scattered. You know, you don't have 3 networks like you did, you know, 40 years ago, 4 networks if you count Fox. You know, but I think back to like MASH, you know, and when it was doing well in the 70s, you know, there was a lot of economic angst and other stuff. And here was a kind of a funny show with guys and women in war. And if they could handle that situation, then maybe we could handle what's going on in the economy. That's kind of the same. It's a different vibe than Ted Lasso for sure, but it has that same kind of thing you're talking to, where it's like, oh, these characters are surviving the Korean War. I guess I can survive my life tomorrow when I have to go to the office and, you know, pay extra for gas or whatever, you know? So, and I think there's always a show like that on. I think they're just scattered more because we've got 15 streaming services and, you know, you don't have that. So when a show like this does surface to the level of like everybody's talking about it, I think that's even more special because it is harder to break through that, you know, that mass consciousness kind of thing than it was 50 years ago.
Yes. Yeah, so true. So true. I mean, I think there are other shows. Another one, I've actually never watched it, but I hear Schitt's Creek is that same sort of feeling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that there is a sort of movement towards feel good. We all, I think in difficult times, there is a yearning for feel good.
Well, you know, we talk about characters that most people can identify with. So I think this character in the show is somebody, he's not like, he doesn't have it all together. He's an all shucks kind of, you know, guy from the Midwest. And, you know, here he's moving to another country and, you know, he's coaching a sport that he's not as familiar with. So
he's
coming off a divorce. Like he's got a lot of things that he's working through himself, which is typical of most people. Like, people can relate to that more than someone who has it all together and is trying to teach those same lessons. We prefer to, you know, watch someone who doesn't have it all together, but is learning along the way like the rest of us.
Yeah. I think that's true. We all look for something.
Yep.
The most successful books are always those ones.
Yes.
Yeah, it would just fall flat if Ted's life outside of the show, or, you know, outside the locker room speeches and things like that, if his life was going perfectly outside of all that, it wouldn't land. It would just be it'd be flat and it'd be hokey and it, you know, it would just be terrible. But because he's struggling with these things and, you know, adjusting and in a new town and with a new sport and, you know, family issues and boss and relationship issues, like, it's like, oh, if he can stay happy during that, then I guess I can too.
Yes, I mean, I think that the other thing is that what they do so well is that it's not just Ted who turns it around. I mean, each of those characters have their own little story arc.
Absolutely.
Same thing turned around. So the Jamie Tart character, who's obnoxious, egocentric football star, is humbled, and suddenly, and he has to go on a very long journey. But then we discover why he's such an asshole. And then ultimately, so I mean, and then one of the other themes that I think is so beautiful is this one of forgiveness, which, again, there's all this psychology behind the benefits of forgiving, that there are health benefits. Holding on to anger and resentment does none of us any favors. And so that theme, in fact, if you look for them, as I've done in the research, there's an awful lot of sorries. I mean, they are, oh my God, if you think back, the Brits are really good. We'll talk to a lamppost when we bump into it and say sorry. And Taylor is the same. It's like sorry all the way through it. So, Keely's sorry to Roy over something. Roy's sorry to Keely over something else. It's just like there is a huge theme of forgiveness. But each of the characters too. Oh, and then the other, of course, the other major arc is Hannah Waddingham's arc, who, she plays the big boss who's hurt after her divorce.
Yes.
For revenge, and she becomes, in the first season, she's the bad guy, and then suddenly she's not the bad guy anymore. Her arc, we understand that she had an asshole of a husband, and then only she seeks Ted's forgiveness because she didn't mean to be so horrible to him. So this is like there is so much forgiveness all the way through it, and I think it's done. There are those who say it's too preachy. For me, I thought it was well done, and people will differ on that.
Those people that say, it's too kitschy or too whatever, Pollyanna, whatever you want to call it, those are the people that need to watch it more often.
Absolutely,
because they've got something going on that they're blocking this message and can't let it in, and so I'm curious, like Lucy, I know you've done marketing for yourself. I mean, you do a lot of freelance work, I guess, as a writer and that kind of stuff. When you look at like the persuasion and marketing side of Ted Lasso, I think we live in a world where we love to sell and lead with pain and suffering and like what it's going to cost you if you don't do this, or like, all that kind of stuff. And this is kind of the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, like, have you thought, put you on the spot here, but like, have you thought about like how that somebody might apply these lessons of Ted Lasso and the more upbeat side and the more positive side if they're marketing their business or something like that?
Well, those are such good questions.
Ted Lasso would be a killer closer in sales. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, he would charm you to death.
He would be one of those guys that just, like you said, charms the.
Well,
he'd be a modern day Columbo,
He really, that's actually what came to my mind earlier is Columbo. He's kind of not the polished. He's not very polished at all. He goes in there and he's kind of confused and, he doesn't have it all together. He's, just kind of
a little more clean
rough
cut
around
than
the
Columbo.
edges. Yeah.
But he's still more clean cut than Columbo and
right.
Not quite as frumpy but yeah, same kind of deal. So I gave you a little chance to think about it, Lucy. Anything come to mind for you? It doesn't have to. But,
well, I tell you what does come to mind, and it's not directly answering your question. Not so much how Ted Lasso would do marketing, but how Apple marketed Ted Lasso, I think, is quite interesting. Because I sort of follow it. So when Ted Lasso when Jason Sudeikis announced there was a next season, what he does is they don't do a big announcement through Apple. He just slipped it in on a podcast with some people, and like the whole internet erupted.
Yeah.
It was in a conversation as casual as the one that we're having here, and said, "Oh yeah, there is and it's about women's football." And suddenly he gave it away. Like everyone had been waiting to know. But Apple do these, how they do their interviews is also interesting because as a journalist, I was a celebrity journalist for a long time, doing interviews in Los Angeles, and that has all changed. It used to be if you've got a film coming out, you get your major celebrities out, you all sit around a table. There's 7 or 8 journalists there with their tape recorders running, and it's a very controlled interview. Ted Lasso did very little of that. They just did podcasts. They did YouTube stuff. Apple released the occasional video, and so it was just like I think they took a completely different approach to what had gone before. And Apple TV was brand new at the time, of course, because Ted Lasso was one of their first.
Yeah, it was.
So how they did it was different. I don't really know.
That was the reason I signed up for Apple TV. That was the only reason back in the day, is just so I could watch Ted Lasso.
Yeah, me too.
That's a great point, how Apple marketed Ted Lasso. And that I was thinking earlier as you were talking, how, because this show is such a positive thing, and I imagine it's pretty positive on the set. Of course, they're all actors, so I don't know, maybe not, but but it seems like, because they do some stuff off set where they do charity stuff together, and I don't know if that's part of the Apple's marketing, where they do these. You've seen where they're doing the concerts, where they're raising money at the concerts, and Jason sings, and Rebecca comes out and sings, and so
I can speak to that. Actually, that's not Apple. Jason Sudeikis. They are actually. So he does a thing called Thunder Gong, I think it's called, and he's done that forever. He's done it way before Ted Lasso came along, and he still does it every single year. So, and they've benefited simply because of Ted Lasso, but it was initially started because he had a friend who had an amputated limb and he needed an artificial limb, and so he set this up to raise funds for it, and it's just that charity has grown and grown and grown. So I know that's Sudeikis, that's not him.
And if you look back at Jason's career, now I'm starting to wonder: is Jason Ted, or is Ted Jason?
Oh, I said,
because I think he's always played that kind of character throughout his career, and some of the most of the comedies. He's always kind of been the upbeat, aw shucks kind of guy,
Yeah.
Just like Tom Cruise is always the intense, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's good casting, whoever did the casting. But yeah, it's interesting when you watch these A-list type actors, and every role is different, but you can see so much of their personality come through. And it seems like Ted Lasso is true to who he is as a person as well. I haven't watched enough interviews with him to really know that, but
he has spoken about that. He said he sort of denies it, but at the same time he says, it's me on a very, very good day after I've had several beers, maybe.
Which is exactly what that person would say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I have seen other cast members say that actually he is very like that. I mean, he wrote it, created it. He was always going to get the top. He was always going to have the role. But you can see that a lot of it is. And also, the other person who never gets much spotlight is Brendan Hunt, because they wrote it together. It's as much Brendan's idea as it is Sudeikis's. But I also know, because I have actually got friends who worked on the set down in Richmond, and that atmosphere is apparently really, really lovely. They are really nice. I've been down to so Richmond, as you see, they're all tiny little streets, and there's a lot of tourist business through there, and they closed everything down when they filmed it. But the goodwill towards that crew is phenomenal down there, because all these little businesses, they initially lost a load of business because all the streets are closed off. But the crew came in, and they were all so nice to them, and really genuinely nice. Of course, now they have so many tourists that go in there just for Ted Lasso, just to see where Ted Lasso was filmed. Wow. That these little shops are doing very, very well now, of course. But at the time, they didn't know that was going to happen. They didn't know it was going to be a hit. But apparently, they were actually it's a really nice set, really nice bunch of people.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear that what the show portrays is happening on set. Because, sometimes you hear the opposite. You hear you know.
Oh yeah, tension between
yeah. I won't name any names, but you know, there's shows, talk shows that put on one face, and then behind the scenes, nobody likes working there, nobody wants to be there, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's good to hear.
What is it, like the show Mobland, where they said the what's the guy? Forgot the guy that's one of the main characters in that. Like tension. They basically fired him this week. So it's stuff like that happens, I'm sure, a lot. You know, people like, you know, the people on the set don't get along. And that's what this was related to. It's like the guy that played Bane in Batman. Trying to remember. Anyway,
I don't remember.
His name escapes me, but
it kind of makes sense from a psychology perspective. That if you are saturating yourself in that type of show, whether it's more negative and hostile or whether it's more upbeat and positive, that would have to affect the actors playing the characters. Like it has to.
Yeah.
I mean, just from a pure psychology standpoint, over time, you know, it just has to. So
Tom Hardy, that's who I was thinking about. Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Yeah, he got fired because he's just not a good person to work with, apparently. Yeah.
He does seem a little intense in all his movies. So. I don't know. Anyway, well, Lucy, what else do you want to tell people as we wrap up? I know your tummy was grumbling, so we want to make sure you get fed this evening. But I've got your website up here. Obviously, your book is on Amazon.
There it is.
And there's your book on Amazon somewhere. There it is.
There it is. Yep.
You got an audiobook version too, right?
There is an audiobook, yeah.
Do you read that, or did you somebody else?
No, that's my own voice, though.
That's
very
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I like it when the author reads.
Did you send a copy to Jason?
I have, yes. I haven't.
Awesome.
I haven't heard anything.
His people haven't called you?
I've sent a copy.
That's so cool, though. Yeah.
Yeah. What else should people know? Anything else you want to say? Any last words of wisdom you want to share with the people?
We're all looking forward to season 4. I'm always grateful when people buy the book, but
absolutely,
you know what, the show. But don't buy it if you haven't watched the show. You've got to watch the show first.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's well, actually, people that read the book will then want to watch the show if they haven't already.
I have had people say that to me. They said, "Yeah, I've read the book, and then I watched the show." But I feel like it's the wrong way around. There you are.
Do you do any speaking gigs or anything based on the book?
I have a few. Funnily enough, sometimes schools. There's a lot of leadership lessons in Ted Lasso. People. There's been leadership, lots of leadership conversations, because he leads from the top, exactly like you were talking about on set. You know, if you're
I hear a TED Talk coming on Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I mean, it trickles down, doesn't it? But but schools have asked me to talk, and I never mind talking about Ted. I'll talk about it until the cows come home.
Yeah,
I think you could. I think Jonathan's right. You need to chicken soup for the soul this thing and find all these leadership lessons of Ted Lasso, relationship secrets of Ted Lasso.
Absolutely.
Like just
based on the results from your book. I mean, looking at all the reviews that you've had and how highly rated it is, I would
jump on that.
Absolutely.
Keep it going. And this is one of those shows that's going to be in syndication and reruns probably for years. I mean, people will be watching this 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah. Even if this upcoming season is in fact the last season. Yeah. People will be watching this for years down the road.
I think they will. I think there's 3 seasons coming. They've not officially said that.
Ooh.
But I mean, why would they not be doing 3 seasons?
Yeah.
I think that's.
It's hard to develop a character, and if they're going to have a new batch of characters, it's going to be hard to develop a character. You can't develop a character in one season. No. And if you've got the following, you might as well keep it going. So that makes sense that they would do several seasons to get a full character arch of the new characters.
Yeah, it's too big a hit. It's
Yeah.
too big. It must have been
Making too much money.
Yeah, they must have been under huge pressure to do another one.
Yeah, I think that first, the pilot is out there, when they produce an episode, the pilot episode is out there to like see like, okay, what's the feedback on this? And then they move forward. But, everything that I've always heard in, people like actors, like in the first season, you're always wondering, okay, is this going to be a one and done? And, until you get that renewed contract or they renew your contract, you don't know. Yeah, right. I mean, but the popularity of this show, I mean, this thing could go multiple seasons after that, right? I mean,
yeah. Look how many Gilmore Girls there are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't really need any more of those. I think we're good.
Not your demographic.
Not my demographic. I'm sure there's plenty of people.
Right.
Probably not our listeners' demographic either. So
that's right.
Anyway, Lucy, this has been fun.
Yeah, for sure.
A great reminder too of like, if you see something that excites you as a writer, as a creator, like there's probably other people that would be interested in it. If you're curious about it, there's probably a group of people that would also be curious about it. And you just followed your curiosity, noticed some things about the show, and you wrote a book about it. And I think that's really cool. I mean, that's how some great works get written is kind of derivative. I don't mean that in a negative way, but like to
absolutely
take somebody else's work and respond to it.
Yes.
In a way that everybody else is kind of maybe not thinking, but circling around, and you can put words to it. That's a really great service that you brought to the world.
Yeah.
I think that's very lovely of you to say that.
Yeah.
Possibly being a bit.
I have a friend, and this is real quick and we'll close out, but I have a friend who he's a podcaster, a guy named Cliff Ravenscraft. He's the guy that I trained. I went through and learned how to podcast under, but years ago, one of his first podcasts that he ever did was a podcast about Lost, which was a TV show back in like this was back in the early 2000s. Like this was pre-2010. Do you remember
2009?
That show?
Yeah, 2009 is when it was hot because it's right when I went to work at Stansbury and all the copywriters were talking about it.
It was huge. So he to this lesson, he created a podcast just talking about that show, and it blew up. And that's really how he really got his reputation as a podcaster, by that show alone. And then he spawned that out into other podcasts, but it all started with the Lost podcast, that he was doing, because it got so much traffic. So,
yeah, and that series still streams on TV.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's good stuff. All right, Lucy, we're going to let you get to dinner. Appreciate having you on.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And we'll send you a link once we have this ready to go tomorrow. It should be out.
Well, thank you very much. Great fun talking to you both. Really lovely.
All right. Yep. Thanks, Lucy. Take care. That was good, man.
Yeah.
Very good lesson.
Yes.
Take advantage. Ride the wave.
Yes. Piggyback somebody else's work. Whatever you got to do.
That's right.
Ride their coattails.
If you're into that, like, don't jump on something that you're not interested in. But if it's something you're truly fascinated with, it's something that you're truly interested in, then that's a great opportunity with today's media, today's technology. I mean, you can create a podcast or write a book in no time.
Or start a cult. Whichever you want to do.
I like the cult. Yeah. I like the cult option.
I'm actually going to have ChatGPT write a Ted Lasso episode as like a cult episode. I got to figure out how to word it, but I'll let you know how it comes out. So that'd be a fun little thing. So I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a follow-up show.
I'll bring it to the next episode.
Cults and Ted Lasso.
Yes.
But yeah, you can check us out on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Check us out, persuasionbythepint.com. I believe we have a guest joining us next week, Sean.
Okay.
And I'm ashamed to say I don't remember the topic or the guest, but we do have a guest lined up.
You haven't forwarded that one to me yet, so I don't know.
Yeah,
either.
I'll have to send that one over to you. I think it was one that we booked a few weeks out that we just kind of said, "Hey, does this date look good?" So yeah, so I'll send you the information on it.
All right.
All right. Well, have a great weekend. Take care. We'll see you next week.
See ya.